tanks have become one of the most important symbols in the history of modern warfare. These powerful armored war machines fulfill critical roles on the battlefield. With their high firepower, they can deliver heavy blows to enemy lines and create safe trenches for infantry. In the context of the Russian-Ukrainian war, tanks are among the most important elements determining the course of the conflict. Russia's powerful tank fleets have been effectively destroyed by the Ukrainian army on several fronts, and this process is still ongoing. In particular, the clashes in the Donetsk region have witnessed major losses for Russian tanks. According to expert reports, the fighting in this region has significantly increased the tank losses of the Russian army. Donetsk has turned into a tank graveyard, and the Russian tanks captured and destroyed by Ukrainian forces have played a major role in this situation. In recent days, the Russian army has been on the move again in the Donetsk region. Having failed to achieve the desired results from the attacks in the Kharkiv region, the Russian army has refocused on Donetsk. The Ukrainian army, on the other hand, has identified tanks and armored units as strategic targets in its great war of attrition against Russia. The tanks dispatched by the Russian army to the front line have become a constant target of Ukrainian troops. Especially in the Donetsk region, many Russian tanks were destroyed or rendered unusable. However, the story of a tank in this process was widely covered in the world press and caused a great resonance in the Russian media. The fact that Russian soldiers left their tanks behind and fled was considered a great disgrace. Moreover, a captured Russian tank was used by the Ukrainian army against the Russian army. This development was widely reported in the world press and caused great reactions in Russia. So what are the latest developments on this issue? Let's examine it together. Before moving on to our report, I would like to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we strive to bring you the latest developments on the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. In the early months of the war, Ivan, a young software developer, came to prominence after an extraordinary incident on the front line. Ivan was a sniper serving as a volunteer in the Ukrainian army, and it happened in occupied Kherson. During a reconnaissance mission, Ivan came across an abandoned Russian Army T-80 BVM tank. The fact that this tank was fully intact and functional made the situation even more interesting. The Russian army, in its hasty withdrawal from some areas in Kherson, had failed to take this tank with them and had almost given it as a gift to the Ukrainian army, forgetting to destroy it. Now, in the hands of Ukrainian soldiers, this abandoned T-80 BVM would be used against the Russians. When Ivan found the tank, he carefully checked the surroundings because of its location. This tank was the newest version of the Russian Army's modernized T-80 tanks, which entered service in 2018 and were known for their mobility and combat power. These tanks in the Russian Army's inventory had been modernized especially for the Ukrainian conflict. This tank was abandoned at the foot of the mountain, suggesting that Russian soldiers had fled in great fear and panic. After carefully checking that there was no danger around the tank, Ivan opened the hatch and went inside. Seeing that there was no one inside, he decided to seize the opportunity. Ivan set off to take the tank to the headquarters. When he arrived at the headquarters, Ukrainian engineers and soldiers carried out a detailed inspection of the tank. The Russian insignia on the tank was removed and replaced with the yellow and blue flags of Ukraine. Ivan was proud that this tank would now fight for Ukraine. The tank's modernized features, especially its automatic loader and advanced guided missiles, gave it a great advantage on the battlefield. After Ivan brought the tank to the headquarters, he used it effectively for a long time. Ivan adopted the tank as a personal vehicle and was privileged to be in control of this powerful vehicle. Thanks to the tank's modern features, he successfully completed many challenging missions. As a tank commander, Ivan was proud to be in control of this powerful vehicle. During his time with the tank, he saw it as a companion. This tank became for me not only a fighting vehicle, but also a traveling companion. We had great adventures with it and it was always by my side, Ivan said, expressing the depth of his bond with the tank. Thanks to the tank's modernized features, Ivan successfully completed many dangerous missions and played an important role in changing the course of the war. Ivan and the Russian tank he commanded have become an icon of the Ukrainian army, participating in many successful operations on the battlefields and making its name in history as an important force of the Ukrainian army. Since the first month of its capture, the tank under Ivan's command has destroyed nearly a dozen Russian armored vehicles and tanks, giving the Russian army a hard time. This heroic tank was stationed in the Donetsk Oblast, where it continued to serve until its retirement. During operations in Donetsk, Ivan's tank significantly increased the losses of Russian armored vehicles. In one operation, the tank hit an anti-tank mine and was badly damaged, but after being repaired, it returned to the front line. Recently, however, it became clear that the tank could no longer serve and the Ukrainian army took a critical decision. It was time for this heroic tank to retire. In military traditions, being taken prisoner is often considered a humiliating situation. Many soldiers would rather have their friends kill them than be captured, and this is seen as an honorable death. Ivan and his crew decided to send their tank to an honorable death, just like a soldier. The tank, which had been badly damaged in Donetsk, could not be repaired. Therefore, everyone connected with the tank, including Ivan, made a decision about its future. Leaving it there was a risky choice, so the Ukrainian soldiers decided to say goodbye to the tank. By setting fire to the Russian tank, the tank crew ensured that this heroic tank, fighting against the Russian army, completed its mission. Setting the tank on fire meant an honorable farewell, like a soldier. Ivan and his crew made this decision, remembering every moment the tank spent on the front line, every victory it won and every mission it undertook. It was like a soldier fulfilling his last duty. In the Donetsk countryside, anti-tank mines planted by the Ukrainian army continued to play a strategic role in blocking the advance of Russian tanks. These deadly traps, placed at different points, greatly limit the mobility of Russian armored vehicles. In recent days, an anti-tank mine planted by Ukrainian forces led to the destruction of another Russian tank. Such operations once again demonstrate the effectiveness of Ukraine's defense strategy. On the other hand, the Ukrainian 110th Mechanized Brigade, which has become a symbol of the Donetsk resistance, is legendary for its successful fight against Russian tanks. This unit has been dealing deadly blows to Russian tanks during its operations in Donetsk Oblast. In particular, their effective destruction of a Russian MTLB armored vehicle using 40 by 53 mm HEDP bombs adapted to be dropped from a commercial drone demonstrates how innovative and effective the resistance is. Such high-precision attacks increase Ukraine's defensive capacity and resilience. What do you think? How do you think the Ukrainian army's actions against Russian tanks affect the situation on the front line? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about your comments.